The Nationals, well, they had 3 retiring members, but the Nationals retained all their seats and picked up another senator. And the Nationals leader, Barnaby Joyce, joins me live now. Barnaby, what do you take from this election? What are the messages? What are the lessons for you?
Well, I think there was a clear path in the Nationals of what we stood for, with infrastructure, a clear spelling out of where we wanted the nation to go to become as strong as possible, as quickly as possible. I think one of the big issues, to be quite frank, was in other areas they wanted a change of the curtains. It was a case of we just want to see what a change looks like. It wasn't overwhelming. The Labor Party have one of the lowest primary votes, or the lowest primary votes since 1910. In fact, their primary vote is lower than what Bill Shorten got. So now becomes the difficulty for them. I congratulate Mr Albanese. I want our nation to be strong. I want the nation to be stable. I do think that will be affected if they have to go into coalition with the Greens, and at this point in time, they don't have the numbers to govern in their own right. I think that could lead to a very tenuous and unstable parliament, because Labor will be dragged to a left-wing view that is completely unpalatable once you get away from sight of the CBDs of the major capitals. And what the Nationals do, as we always do, is we campaign under the radar, and we make sure that we're the local champions for the people in our area, and we make sure that in the terms that whilst we sit, that we serve our communities to the best of our ability, as being officers of public service and not as politicians in Canberra.
What about as a coalition? Is it getting harder and harder to stay on the same page and be all things to all people?
Well, the Nationals are their own party. The Liberals are their own party.
But you govern in a coalition. You can't do it without each other.
We're in a business relationship, and as long as both sides of the business get a fair return back to their owners, back to their shareholders, being the voters in regional areas, then that coalition works well. When it goes off into a site where the Nationals just have to do what they're told, and that works very badly for the Nationals. And I want to make sure that we're strong.
Have you ever done what you've been told, Barnaby?
There was a few occasions. I've read them in Wikipedia, but no. But no, I think it's seen in what we've done since 2010. We've grown the National Party, well, myself as deputy, grown the National Party at every election that I was either deputy or leader at, bar none. And in the 2 ones that went against the tide, in 2016, where the Liberals lost 14 seats, we held all our seats and gained 1. And in this, where the Libs lost 19 seats, we held all our seats and picked up a senator. So our game plan must be working, and we've got to make sure we maintain that, because we're now within striking distance of the Hunter and Lingiari. And if the Labor Party go into coalition with the Greens, boy, oh boy, they're in play.
All that said, you must feel emboldened sitting here this morning. So what do you plan to do with that in opposition?
You have to be a good opposition like you're a good government. You hold the government to account on behalf of the political purpose, and also on behalf of the nation. And it does make a difference. If you can flesh out the issues, they create political weight and they change political direction. And we've done that. I've done that before. Remember the carbon tax? I remember at the start they said there was only 7% of people believed in it, and we're in opposition. And after, to be quite frank, having convinced my own side of politics in opposition, we then convinced Australia, and the thing was dropped. I
mean, I know the Nats didn't lose any seats. Indeed, as you point out, you picked up 1 senator, you had 3 retiring members, and you still increased your margins in those seats. That is no mean feat, especially in an election like this. But where you have potentially lost some ground is to the left flank and maybe some of those other independents. So, I mean, there was Matt Canavan saying net zero is dead. Do you maintain that net zero position? Where do you go on climate?
Well,
stay where you are.
The Nationals will be having a meeting. We'll wait till seats are declared and postals are in, and we'll organise that, and we'll have the discussion in the party room about we're in opposition now. So you have a discussion in the party room. There's the government policy was a government policy, and now the Nationals have to have that discussion, and I won't be sort of preempting that on, on television.
So it's a clean slate as far as you're concerned.
I'm not saying there's... Well, every policy through over time changes, is modified, is amended, it's adjusted. People do what they have to do, because otherwise we'd have the policies of the Nationals from 1940, and we don't. You know, these things work. Policies are a dynamic area.
Yeah, sure. And but if you're looking at this result, where do you go on climate? Because I mean, you've seen on both sides people venting their spleen at the moment, saying, "Oh, this means, you know, we need to move further to the right or further to the left." Where do you chase these votes, or help your Liberal colleagues chase these lost seats?
Well, the first point is I don't have the hubris to say, well, I'm going to start saying what I believe and believe that is what we have to.
Well, that's a first. Come on.
The party.
Tell us. You're the leader still, aren't you?
Yes, I am. The party will have those discussions, and I'll listen to that. And within those discussions, just like we did last time when we negotiated the 2050 scenario, we will make sure, and we bargained, and we got the deal we wanted, which, as the paper said, was about $21 billion to regional Australia, and also making sure we had changes to the initial policy direction, which, to be quite frank, would have been devastating for regional Australia. And that is by reason of the weight of the party room and basically the imprimatur you get from the party room. And I want to make sure that party room remains with that imprimatur. So and these discussions, especially at the start of a coalition arrangement, if there is one, and that's also the decision for both parties, at the start, that we set down the guardrails of what is important for regional Australia, and that's in climate policy, water policy, agricultural policy. All these issues, which are so incredibly important, have to be nutted out and have to be bedded down and have to put us in a strong position, so that in 3 years' time, when there's another election, because of the sort of tenuous position the Labor Party is in right now, that we give ourselves the best opportunity of coming back as the government of Australia. Okay,
I know you don't get a say, but would you like to see Peter Dutton become the opposition leader?
I'm going to leave that strictly up to the Liberals. I don't intend to interfere in their personal views one by one, or what that party room, which is their own party room, decides to do. Whatever decision they make is a decision for them, and I'll leave that up to them. Okay, let's speak soon. Barnaby Joyce, thank you. You're welcome, Laura.